Mr. President, can you say why you're suing John Bolton to prevent publishing his book?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to ask the Attorney General, but I will say if he's doing a book, I think it's totally inappropriate that he does a book. I think a guy, I gave him a break. He couldn't get Senate confirmed. He was never Senate confirmed the first time. I don't think he's supposed to even be calling himself an ambassador because he couldn't get Senate confirmed. He got in through a little trick, and he was there for a fairly short period of time. I put him here because he couldn't get Senate confirmed. This was a non-Senate confirmed position, as you know. He stayed for a short while, and I felt that it was not appropriate that he stay any longer. I wasn't impressed. And somebody said he went out and wrote a book. If he wrote a book, I can't imagine that he can, because that's highly classified information. Even conversations with me, they're highly classified. I told that to the Attorney General before. I will consider every conversation with me as president highly classified. So that would mean that if he wrote a book, and if the book gets out, he's broken the law. And I would think that he would have criminal problems. I hope so. Otherwise, I mean, they put a sailor in jail because he sent a photograph of his bed and an engine of an old submarine. And if this guy's writing things about conversations or about anything, and maybe he's not telling the truth. He's been known not to tell the truth a lot. So we'll have to see what the book is all about. But, you know, a lot of people are upset with him for writing a book. A lot of people are very angry with him for writing a book. But it's up to the Attorney General. Bill, do you have anything to say about it?
Well, people who come to work in the government and have access to sensitive information generally sign an agreement that says that when they leave government, if they write something that draws on or might reflect some of the information they've had access to, they have to go through a clearance process before they can publish the book. And we don't believe that Bolton went through that process, hasn't completed the process, and therefore is in violation of that agreement.
So what does the DOJ do?
And that's criminal liability, by the way, you're talking about. You're not talking about like he's got to return $3 that he made on a book. That's called criminal liability. That's a big thing. You know, Hillary Clinton, she deleted 33,000 emails. And if we ever found out what those emails say, she would have had a liability. That's what you have. You have a liability.
Could the Attorney General tell us what the DOJ is doing in terms of the Bolton book?
Well, there are a number of things, but the thing that is front and center right now is trying to get him to complete the process, go through the process, and make the necessary deletions of classified information.
But the book has been published.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it's been published. It's just not released yet.
Well, it's being printed. It's being
Hasn't been
printed.
released.
According to sources, it's being printed. It hasn't been released.
So are you going to court to try to stop?
Well, I said what we were doing was try to get him to complete the clearance process that's required.
His lawyer says that he thought that they had completed the process. Were there changes after that first iteration?
Well, he hasn't completed the process.
He never completed the process. He knew that.
This is unprecedented, really, because I don't know of any book that's been published so quickly while, the office holders are still in government, and it's about very current events and current leaders and current discussions and current policy issues, many of which are inherently classified.
Have you read the book, sir?
I have not read it, no. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. But he knows, and he was advised not to write it, and he was advised very strongly not to write it until it's cleared. And he couldn't wait, and we'll see what happens. But I think he's got, personally, I would imagine he has, when you do classified, that to me is a very strong criminal problem. And he knows he's got classified information. Any conversation with me is classified. Then it becomes even worse if he lies about the conversation, which I understand he might have in some cases. So we'll see what happens. They're in court, or they'll soon be in court, but he understands he did not complete a process or anywhere near complete a process.